I'm back. Well, you were speaking about the insensitivity of the system. What do you mean? In this case, in the Mukherjea case, we are looking like the system is not only sensitive, but they are extra sensitive.
Yes.
So what are you talking of insensitive? These are two different terms.
Well, I appreciate the Mumbai police, the way they're handling the Indrani case right now, because 3 years back when this case actually began, there was a lot of dodging.
Okay.
And that's very apparent from all the news that's hit the headlines. But now, they're taking it seriously and there's a lot of scientific
How
tests.
do the police dodge? They're not rugby players.
Dodge the truth.
Okay.
The
Not
truth.
registering the FIR.
Not registering the FIR.
Murder
They
case
didn't.
FIR was not registered. So we had to go to the High Court
For them
and
to
direct
register.
them to register an FIR and conduct a DNA test.
In my case.
Which was the test of eminent need for this. Now the policemen, the rogue policemen have not done the test. So we are back in the court to implement the order of a previous
Now, which police are you talking about?
Ashok Nagar police.
Ashok
Bangalore.
Nagar police station.
Madiwala police.
And
Madiwala
the other beautiful thing is, ACP Siddaramaiah, he was suspended by Lokayukta in August 2014.
Okay.
And during his suspension, he has filed 5 reports, B reports.
An ACP can do all this?
He's suspended because her father was a scheduled caste Hindu. So this case comes under the atrocities. Her father was a scheduled caste Hindu. So technically an ACP is supposed to investigate that matter. But an ACP of the right ability and not a ACP who is suspended for Lokayukta. So once a person is suspended, we have already told the police, look here, the report has no meaning in a court of law because he's been suspended. Null and void. But the police are like this, not only my case. 3% is the conviction rate in India.
The biggest problem in the courts is when you go to
No, just one second. Are you telling me that the police are insensitive?
Police are not only insensitive, they are corrupt.
you want to make
They will take money from the accused and file B reports.
Mrs. Roshni, what do you think? The police are
Yes, the police are not only corrupt, they are criminal too. And so therefore I'm yet to find a good police officer. In my 3 years from the time the High Court has reopened the murder case, I am struggling with police officers. And I am waiting for a Rakesh Maria to come down to Karnataka to crack my case.
These are very strong words.
They have not done the DNA. There is no exhumation and post-mortem. Here, same thing has happened. 3 years back for Sheena's case, they found the body in the forest. And what do the police do? They bury it again. Without doing an accidental death report, without a post-mortem. There is no accidental death report for
In the case of your father?
Yes.
And the police have given a statement in Deccan Herald, which we have copied, that they have taken the body to Victoria Hospital, which was never taken. We've got the death records as of today because a medical cause of death, post-mortem report and a civil death record is a permanent record. It cannot be destroyed. He was never taken. He was buried without a post-mortem.
And now the
And
police
who's the number 2 suspect in my case? The number 2 suspect in this murder case is the police for destruction of evidence. So the investigation cannot be investigated by the police. It can only be investigated by the CBI as per Supreme Court citation. That's why we are back in the court with the police as accused number 2.
Accused number 2. Well, quickly let me take in the young Bengalurians and the psychologists. First the psychologists. Now you are Dr. Dominic Dixon, you are a psychology. I'd like you to shred this case up for us. What are your insights into it? And I'll also come to you, Mr. Aldrin.
Many people get into adultery. We're talking about the extramarital affairs.
Why adultery? First, I'd like to ask you, there's this woman who looks so beautiful. Even at this age, she looks so attractive. Why would she do this? I mean, why adultery? It beats logic.
Deepika Padukone on NDTV, she said, I feel empty and directionless. And this same person acted as a protagonist for immorality when she went on air and she came out with this video called My Choice, where she said it's my choice.
No, that's
my
your
body.
view. No, I won't go into that.
No, I'm talking about.
I won't go into Deepika Padukone. But in this instant case, can you shred this case?
Exactly, that's exactly what I'm getting to. So, I'm giving this as an example because a lot of people are aware of this. It's because of her thought process. So when, for example,
why would a
the
woman commit
exactly.
adultery?
Many
Quickly, let me
people
ask
come
you just a minute. Yeah,
I think-
why would a woman commit adultery?
Yeah, I think we need to go back to principles,
Okay.
you know, unchangeable principles. Because I
Okay.
think earlier we said about, you know, this is Indrani, this is Peter Mukherjea. That's
Is it
why
simple temptation? They can't deal with
Well, it is,
it
but
that?
it's more than that.
Okay.
You know, now cases like
Is
this.
it greed?
Cases like this, apart
Okay.
from getting into the details of the case itself, we need to say what are the principles we can actually unfold out of this.
You're talking of honesty, truth, and the principles.
Yes,
like
but
that?
also, you know, when I have counseled a lot of people, when people are running to drugs or sex outside of a boundary or anything for that matter, for money or for anything, they're usually not running to something, they're running away from something. There's a very big difference. Running to something is the consequence.
Okay.
Running away from something is an internal matter.
Okay.
So if you study the life of Indrani, I'm pretty sure, now I haven't really researched her life, I only got to know her name recently, but you will see things that were not right internally.
Like?
Basically there's a vacuum, there's an emptiness, there is what Dominic was just referring to, and she's trying to fill that with various things, and perhaps, you know, sex outside marriage, or perhaps, you know, now deception is not just when you tell a lie to someone, deception is when you actually can tell a lie to yourself. Can you imagine that? I mean, it's easy for me to tell a lie to someone perhaps, but when I have convinced myself of a lie I told myself and start living that lie as if it is real, then that is the height of deception. And people like this, I don't want to judge Indrani, she is just another human being totally messed up. Peter Mukherjea, there's a combination of many things. There's an internal turmoil, there is the idea of materialism, there is the idea of you know, how much is enough in life. Well, people usually say who are tempted with money, just a little bit more.
They say you
And
can't
that just
satisfy
a little
greed.
bit more never seems to come. So for me,
Is it just greed?
it is greed, but it's a combination of many things in this case,
Okay,
because
like-
the consequences are many here.
Like greed?
Choices.
Greed,
Lust.
choices have. See, what I want the.
Is she getting into this adulterous relationship for lust, or is it for security, or for both?
It's both, and it could be many more. You know,
Like lust, security, and what else?
security, and she is walking a deceptive lifestyle. She has gotten, perhaps she's addicted to this lifestyle.
Quickly, Dr. Dominic, how would you break up Indrani Mukherjea, alias Bora, also known
Angel
as
Bora.
Angel Bora, Bora? How do you break up her life for us? Is there something very complex?
I was exactly going to echo what Aldrin had said.
Yeah, is
When
it an empty
somebody
child?
gets into
Is she
this-
an abused child? I want to ask you.
Perhaps.
When somebody gets into a behavior like this, exactly what Aldrin said, there is a vacuum, they're
Yeah.
looking for something. But if you look at the pattern of this person in context without judging her, one is sex, multiple partners.
Correct,
money.
but I'm looking at the trigger. What is that is triggering her to do all this?
Exactly.
Multiple
It goes back to what
is it
doctor was
just
saying.
insecurity? Is it just insecurity? Is it what is that need?
Yeah, okay, uninterrupted. Let me answer this. What Dr. Savio was also talking about. There is definitely a family history. When you see a pattern in the way a person behaves, by default you will know where that person is coming from, what is their family background, what is their sociological upbringing.
You're talking of the family tree.
Family tree is a major aspect that contributes. See, when a person is born with acquired characteristic traits.
Okay.
As they grow up, when a person is born, they have inherited characteristic traits. When they grow, it's acquired. When doctor also mentioned about when they see the way a person is behaving, and the generation.
Perhaps she has seen adultery at a previous.
Most definitely. See, one
generation.
is high possibility. It's like when one parent smokes, there's a 30% chance that the child will end up smoking. If both the parents smoke, the chances are higher. Similarly, going by her pattern, now we've seen a pattern. There is an abusive pattern of incest that has happened that she's still not told. See, especially a girl. When a girl has multiple partners, there's a high chance that there's abuse of incest. There's a high chance. Second, if there is no incest abuse, there's a high chance of child sexual abuse. When a person has no, when a girl in context, it has no value for a sense of sexuality. It's because that her integrity has been compromised at a very young age.
She could have been abused.
Yes. When a boy's sexuality is compromised at a very young age, the boy ends up becoming a bigger abuser to society. So
in both cases, do they end up as sexual perverts? Abused child, boy, girl.
The sexual pervert is one way, and being a slave to the abuse. A person can see a drug addict is a slave to the abuse. They are not glorifying it. So society will call them a pervert, but the actual thing that is happening is that these people are victims of this issue. They're victims. Like I spoke the other on the previous issue. A person is a victim of pornography. His brain is saying, "Look, I need to act out." So he's a victim of pornography. He's taking that behavior and cloning it by abusing somebody else. A victim victimizing. So in this lady's case, she is definitely a victim, and she has victimized other people. Now, what confirms psychologically that she's been an abusive victim she's been a victim of
analyze
abuse?
her psychological
I'll tell you.
makeup.
If you look at how she has been brutal with her own children, only goes to show that how she was brutalized by her parents, because that part of her conscience has been numbed.
Hold on to your thought. Mrs. Roshni, you were brutalized by your mother. She didn't want you because your face reminded her of her dead husband's face.
Yes.
How did she brutalize you?
Well, I used to get belted.
Belted as in with a hand?
With a belt, with a broom, with everything in the house, everything in the kitchen. With my plait, I used to get swung around. But I always thought that she was...
How big were you? How big were you?
So from the time I was very small, I had even knives cut on my fingers. And I used to constantly keep, forgiving her and thinking that because she was a single parent and she was a widow, I always thought she was a widow. But it's only recently that I've come to know that she's been in multiple relationships. And all these men have abandoned her. And these men have left her without any security. So she is taking out all that anger on the children, and so I have been under deception for so long. It's only now when the hitman from Yadgir by name Sunil Redson has been caught and is out on bail right now, and therefore
he was actually out there to get you?
Yes, he was out there to get me.
Part of the biological family.
Okay, he's part of the biological family. Quickly, I'd like to take in the two young Bengalurians. How do you really look at this, Shringa, and how do you really look at this? Aishwarya. Do you think there is too much of Indrani Mukherjee staring you in the face each time you read the newspapers or watch television? Or you think it's okay? Or you think it's just right?
No, it is like all these adultery in like present society, there are many cases that has been coming up.
Okay.
And she is like one among that case. And there's so many cases that is coming up now. What I would say is a woman, she has an external affair. She is with another man. So why is it that we need to concentrate on a woman like she is being there? Why don't we say that, okay, there's also an equal role with another man who's, it's like a both way, like what I'm trying to say. So it's not like a complete 100% is not from the woman that she is diverting, she is running away from something to get something else.
So don't judge the woman.
Here we are
Not completely.
Okay, don't judge the woman. Shringa, how do you really...
we are not speaking about adultery as a matrimonial offense. We are talking about adultery as a crime and a deception.
Okay, it's adultery as a crime and a deception. Okay, quickly let me take Shringa before I come to you, Doc.
Grooming, that word I want to take next.
Shringa, how do you look at it? You're a young Bengalurian. Now when you read the newspapers, watch television, do you think, oh no, not again Indrani Mukherjee?
No, sir. I
How
don't
do
think that way at all, because like see, one of the reasons why women or men cheat on their spouses is attention. Like few people, they seek a lot of attention. They want lot of attention from their spouses. When they don't get that, that's when they go out. That's when they go seek
that's a new
attention
insight into this entire issue. Yeah, okay.
So that's when they seek attention from others.
Okay. Mrs. Roshni, you seem to be agreeing with her. Is it for attention they do it? Is it for security? Is it for the thrill? Because there's this also in psychology, Dr. Dominic will tell us, there's this risk-taking behavior.
I can contribute to that.
Yeah, can you?
I was exactly going to say what she's saying. There are many reasons why people get into adultery. One is not enough attention, especially
One is for attention.
Not enough attention from the spouse.
Okay.
So man or woman, they would. I'm trying to be safe over here. So man and woman both go out. I'll give you various instances that we've counseled.
Okay.
It happens. Men.
Okay.
On the context of perversion, mostly go away into adultery. Women, when a woman mostly gets into adultery, it's because she has a need, an emotional need. Most people, like Aldrin was talking about, there's such a vacuum inside.
So the man, her husband is not fulfilling her emotional need.
Let me answer you that. Adultery is not just sexual. There's an emotional adultery. Most corporates today, if you look at based on the number I've counseled, 6 out of 10 people in corporates have emotional affairs. There is also physical affairs where you can just, like, you're touching the person, but you know the objective of that touch. There's also a sexual adultery. So adultery is not just sexual; it could be emotional, and a lot of people are that. That is one. For instance, there have been people that I've counseled when they got married. At the first night, when they engage in the conjugal act, when there's a rupture at that first night, that is a starting point where, for example, a girl would say, "Okay, this man drank too much, and the smell of the alcohol just got me." And when she tries to engage in the sexual act again with her husband, her sexuality is numb. It's switched off, and the brain switches off. Because the brain has switches, it switches off. And over a period of time, her body craves for that longing, craves for that sexuality. Because when two people have sex, it's not just the body. It's the spirit, it's the soul that...
It's much deeper.
It's much deeper than just two bodies. Okay. So that is why when there's a breakup, the breakup is so painful because not just two bodies coming together. It's the emotions, it's the spirit.
Absolutely.
So when the husband and wife are not in the conjugal act, when they're not in the sexual act, the woman or the man are both craving for that. So the closest attraction is like a magnet. They get swayed into that. And no one becomes an adulterer or an adulteress overnight. It's progressive.
It's like a slow process.
Slow process. And let me tell you this. Let me tell you this one thing. Once you get into one adultery, it can never stop. They'll tell you why it can never stop.
It's an open door.
When a woman, for example, women suffer the most. All right. When a woman, for example, gets into an adultery with another man, that man will never trust her. Simply because he would say, "You left your husband, you had come to me, I cannot trust you." And this vicious cycle continues.
And if you go back a little bit more deeper into this, it's also the way we react to crisis. Whenever there's an external stimuli, there are those who win by being passive, and there are those who win by being aggressive.
Okay. So there is there's also response, passivity and aggression. We talk about it after this very short break. Stay tuned.